Hey y'all, my name's Allyson Galloway. Thank you so much for having me on your TikTok and your Instagram, your Facebook. I really appreciate it. I chose to take what I had been given from TikTok because a lot of people liked my voice. That's what they told me on TikTok. Oh, I love your voice. Oh, I love your voice. I sang in choir, when I was like 12, but ultimately I never even thought twice about being a singer. I was a mother. You're supposed to get a job. You're supposed to do corporate life, right? That's what, business people do, and that's how you make your money. And I'm a salesperson, so I went in working for a corporation for 6 years. I was miserable. It was awful. So I decided to start TikTok and just kind of mess around, try to have some fun, When I got in the stadium looking around at 20,000 people, and it just goes in to say, how much one person can do. I grew up in a Catholic school. I went to Catholic school all my life because my grandfather took me away from my mother, who is an addict. And at this point, in my life, when he took me and I saw how, normal, I say normal, but how most people get to feel when they go home at night, tucked in their beds and, oh, you want a glass of milk? Let me bring it to you real quick, It wasn't like that growing up for the first 7-8 years of my life. My grandfather took me in, and then a year later I lost my dad. And bad thing is my dad was an alcoholic. So I go into my mom being an addict, my dad being an alcoholic. I lost my dad when I was 9 years old. Sorry. From that moment, I knew I was supposed to do something with all this mess, right? Can't be for nothing, right? So I started taking care of my sisters. I took care of them for a long time, and I helped my mom. Sorry, my face. I helped my mom as best could, but I went and decided to go to a concert. So when I'm looking into the stadium, or the arena, I guess is what you call it. I'm looking into the arena, looking around at just 20,000 people. It was overwhelming. Then I realized how big of a difference I could make if I could formulate the words. With me, my struggle was based from home, unfortunately. I was the child of the fuck up, and it happens. But my mom was an addict, my dad was an alcoholic, and it got to the point where I got taken away, and my grandfather raised me my whole life for the most part. I did go back and forth because my sisters still lived with her. I couldn't let them just go without me. They were everything to me. That's all I had. And I got pregnant at 16. When I got pregnant, I decided that I was going to move in with my father at the time. But it got me into a different mindset of an adult. And then life went on, and it just got worse. Oh my gosh, it just got worse. One thing after another, and that's the story we're going to tell in the songs. All of my songs are based off of real events, and it's a little wild, but I want everyone to know them, because as much as I've done, as much as I've messed up, as much as the hand that I was dealt was just awful, I am making it a different story now. My goal was to make it to where, I could share my story and people may understand themselves even more. I have a new song coming out. Country music's been my life. And when it comes to all this, I just wanted to tell the story that I had so people like me could know that they're not alone. And, I got to do that, like something drastic, And it took me 30 years. I just knew that it was a different thing that I was supposed to do. I never knew why I didn't fit in. I never knew why I couldn't really, I could keep a job. I had corporate jobs for 6 years, but it just wasn't enough. it just wasn't doing anything for anybody else. I want to help other people. I've always wanted to help other people. Gatlinburg had the fires, and I went down there, and that was the first thing I did.
Children wondering if Santa will even make a visit this year, but one Memphis woman is stepping in to make sure that doesn't happen. Allyson Galloway is collecting toys for children affected by the wildfires.
Instantly, okay, this is Christmas. We gotta get toys. We gotta do something.
A lot of people are just giving them what they need, not necessarily what they would want for Christmas.
So I did a toy drive in Gatlinburg about, I don't know, give or take 8 or 10 years. And my son was like 6, so I guess about 10 years. So my son was 6, and I wanted him to see that.
Galloway is still asking for donations. You can drop them off at one of 3 locations on your screen. Actually, we only have 2 locations there. If you wrap the gift, make sure you mark it with an age and gender. There's a 3rd location. All right.
Because those kids, I can't even talk about it. They lost everything right in Christmas time, like a week before Christmas. So I got all the Toys R Us, and I made a little pamphlet and everything. And I went to every Toys R Us anywhere near between Memphis and there. And I asked them, would you please donate to these children? Because they just can't go without toys. In Pigeon Forge. And I spoke with a woman, and she said, you know, we're doing a toy drive too. Would you want to just bring your toys and maybe just volunteer that day? Would that be okay? I said, that would be everything. So I ran, did it, and, you know, yeah, that was great. It was the best time I ever had in my life. At this point, I just want to change someone else's life, because I figured out finally, after 30 years of my life, that I'm not by myself. And that meant everything. So I decided to start writing songs. And prior to that, I had written a book, but it just didn't seem like it was going to do enough. Like, what else can I do with this? Because I need to share too. And I need to let everybody else understand that they're not alone in the stories like mine. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. It's been a really rough area to grow up in, especially throughout the past 20 years. And ultimately, I have never wanted to get out more. Memphis is not for the faint of heart. But I really, really just want to show everybody there is a way out. You don't have to continue to do the same things every day. I was dealt a hand, and I just refused it. And at this point, I'm just going to continue to show everyone a little bit of my story throughout my songs. You're going to hear some real things that maybe not everybody wants to talk about. I get it. It's not a common thing that we want to talk about with drug addiction and alcoholism, how it may affect your children. You know, when you are at home and you go to school, and your home life's so different from school, it really makes you realize that not everybody was dealt the same hand, you know? And I don't know, I got to the point where I just decided that I'd do more. I was going to share my story. I'm not going to let up on this, because people need to know that they're not alone. My story means so much because other people like me are going to think that they're by themselves. There's no way that this girl could know anything about what I've dealt with. No way this girl would know what it was like to live with cockroaches crawling all over the floors and, you know, all over the walls. And no way she would know what it was like to raise her sisters when her mom, you know, wasn't doing right. Let's just say it like that. There's no way that she could know what it's like to lose a parent at a young age. But not only lose him, I lost him to alcoholism. I lost him to his best friend. His best friend actually, you know, goes into fighting with him, and they argue, and one thing led to another. It is what it is. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, no way I could have gone through all that. No, I'm going to tell y'all a lot of things over the next 6 months. You have no idea. You have no idea what is going to be going on in these songs. You're only going to know if you know. And I know that that's going to make it a lot of difference for those people, you know?